Hello TL Travelers, and welcome to or welcome back to the TL Travel YouTube channel. If you are new here and you are just jumping in, welcome. This is a great first video for you guys because we are just at the start of our South America adventure. Yes, that is right. The travel content has not stopped just because the world has, stopped. In this little mini series, we are going to be heading back into the TL Travel archives and taking a look at the stories, hacks, and all of the fun stuff that we experienced backpacking through South America for 6 months in 2014. If there was ever a trip that I took that I wished that I had my YouTube channel at that time for, it was South America, and we did take photos and some videos, and there's definitely, some moments to share and laugh at, so I can't wait to share that with you. But today we are going to be talking about planning your trip through South America, some things that you need to take into consideration, and some lessons that I learned, looking back. So if you yourself are planning a trip through South America, a lot of this information, a lot of these hacks are timeless. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you love travel content. And if you're not planning a South America trip, this is still going to be highly entertaining, so stick around. So really the very first thing that you are going to want to do is make a list of your must-see destinations or tours or whatever it is that is drawing you to South America, the things that you have to do no matter what the circumstances. So for me, that was Machu Picchu in Peru, Iguazu Falls, we definitely wanted to do. I desperately wanted to go to Easter Island and the Galapagos Islands, do a little side-by-side comparison, and Ushuaia. So definitely spanning a great deal of space there, and having a list of musts is going to help for you to determine your route and your budget and just everything. So make a list of your must-see items. You can, add to that as you go, and start the planning process. So the first thing that you're going to want to consider is seasons. So what I did, for example, was I took my list of must-see destinations and I made notes next to them regarding when the best time was to visit them, or at least the acceptable months for me that I would want to visit them, so that when I had a full idea of how long it was going to take me to travel, I could map my route accordingly. For us, we essentially decided that we were going to follow the shoulder season everywhere that we went, and that meant that there was really nowhere that we ended up where it was like peak season, the best time of the year to be there, but we also never ended up being anywhere at the worst time of year. Although weather can also be unpredictable, as you will see as this series goes on. The second thing that you need to take into consideration when you are planning your destinations and your routes is just the sheer distance that you are going to be traveling. Argentina alone is something like 4,000 kilometers from north to south. And don't even get me started on the, width from the mountains to the coast. There is a lot of land to see, and that's just one country. So most often, or more often than not, when you're changing destinations, locations, you are looking at being on a bus for 12, 15 hours sometimes. And although flights are available, especially if you're traveling for a 6-month period, the way that we were, flights aren't always going to be the most affordable option, and they don't often get you to exactly where it is that you want to go. They'll get you close, and then you still have to find a way to get to the off the beaten path location that you are looking for. So bus travel really does kind of end up being the way to go unless you have your own vehicle. And for that reason, we planned a lot to take overnight buses versus buses through the day, because not only would that save us on accommodations for that night, but you go to sleep and you wake up and you're where you want to be. The only exception to that was places where we knew that the drive was going to be amazing and the views were going to be amazing, at which point we would take a day and travel the day and just enjoy the scenery along the way. And then of course you need to consider your budget. Are you on a tight budget? Do you have money to spend? And your budget is ultimately going to determine the type of accommodations that you're going to be able to afford to stay in, the type of transportation that you're going to be able to take when you're traveling. And one thing that I definitely have found in my adventures throughout the years is that the longer that you're on the road, the more chances that you have for unexpected costs to pop up. So whatever amount of money you usually have sort of set aside for emergencies on, say, a 1 or 2 week trip, you're gonna want to multiply that by how many weeks or months you plan to be on the road in South America. Your budget might also determine how much time you can spend in different countries because, of course, some countries are more expensive than others. For example, we chose to do our Amazon experience in Bolivia because not only was that the most inexpensive country for us to spend a lot of time in, you know, we had to take some time in hotels before we went to the Amazon, we had to take a flight, obviously our accommodations and tours in the Amazon, and then accommodations when we returned. So that's sort of why we chose to do that. But you definitely might want to make sure that you schedule your downtime or your like more relaxing, leisurely portions of your trip in countries where it's going to be affordable to take your time. And if you're wondering if you have a tight budget or if you don't have a tight budget, you know, what should your budget be for 6 months in South America? There's definitely a lot of resources online that can help you with that. What I found and what we found comparing the numbers from our particular trip to those of other travelers is that somewhere in the range of $10,000 to $15,000 is going to get you 6 months. That's accommodations, that's flights, that is food, that's also things like immunizations. Wow, can't talk. And that's also things like immunizations and visas. So that covered everything. And when we went, we spent closer to the $15,000 mark for our 6 months, but we also sort of went back and forth between some nicer accommodations and some hostel style accommodations. So if you can find that balance to suit your budget, then you'll be fine. But that's gonna be it for me for the first episode of our South America planning series. In the upcoming episodes, I am going to share some stories, wild stories, travel fails, videos, photos, and then of course, tips, tricks, and hacks related to your upcoming trip or just related to planning in general. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Stick around, we post new travel content every Thursday and Sunday. And until I see you in my next episode for my first story starting in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. Oh, it was an experience. Be sure to stay great, stay safe, stay home, and yeah, I'll talk to you then. Bye guys.